Here's what they taught you. Humans were wanderers. Then we learned to farm. We planted grain, grew bread, settled down, built towns, and civilization was born. Bread built the world. Clean, simple, makes sense. It might also be wrong, because that same grain, the grain we supposedly settled down to eat, does something else. Leave it wet, leave it warm, leave it long enough, and it turns into alcohol. So here's the question that's been quietly tearing at archaeologists for decades. What if we didn't settle down to make bread? What if we settled down to make the drink? What if the first towns, the first farms, the entire foundation of human civilization started with the desire to get drunk? Sounds insane, I know. Stay with me, because the deeper you dig, the harder it gets to laugh off. Let's start with the story you already believe. Around 12,000 years ago, humans made the biggest change in our entire history. We stopped wandering. We stopped hunting and gathering. We planted seeds, waited, harvested, and stayed put. Farming, the agricultural revolution, the thing every textbook calls the start of civilization. And the reason, we're told, was obvious: food, bread, survival. It's a clean story. There's just one problem. Farming, at the start, was a terrible deal. This is the part nobody mentions. The first farmers worked harder than hunter-gatherers, not less. Their bones show it. Overworked joints, worn-down spines, bodies broken by labor. Their diets got worse. They got shorter. They got sicker. Packed together in the first villages, disease tore through them.
Hunter-gatherers had it better. More free time, better food, healthier bodies. So think about what that means. Why would anyone choose this? Why would humans give up an easier life to break their backs in the dirt for worse food and more disease? For bread? Bread isn't worth that. So what was?
Hold that question, because there's a place that makes it even stranger. In southern Turkey, there's a site called Göbekli Tepe. It is mind-bendingly old, older than the pyramids, older than writing, older than the wheel. We're talking 11,000 years, built by people who hadn't even started farming yet. And it's massive, enormous stone pillars carved with animals, hauled into place and arranged with care. This took hundreds of people, coordinated, working together for a long time. Here's the thing that breaks the old story. Hunter-gatherers built it. People who supposedly couldn't organize, couldn't cooperate at scale, couldn't pull off anything this big, did exactly that before farming existed. So what brought all those people together?
What do you do when hundreds of humans gather in one place, far from home, working side by side? You have to feed them, and you have to give them a reason to keep coming back. And at Göbekli Tepe, archaeologists found something waiting in the stone. Giant carved vats, big enough to hold gallons, and inside some of them, chemical traces that may point to one thing: fermentation. The possibility is staggering. One of the oldest monumental sites on Earth may have run on feasting and on something brewed to drink. Not a farm. A gathering place, a place to come together, celebrate, and raise a cup. The evidence is still debated. Scientists argue about it right now, but the question it raises won't go away. What if the drink came first?
And Göbekli Tepe isn't alone. Go to a cave in modern-day Israel. Look at what people left behind 13,000 years ago, before farming, again, and you find stone mortars carved into the rock. Inside them, residue, the signature of a fermented drink brewed from wild grain. 13,000 years ago, possibly the oldest alcohol we've ever found, made by people who hadn't planted a single field. And it wasn't just casual. It's tangled up with their debt, found near burials, near ritual. This wasn't a snack. It was sacred. It mattered. Now jump across the entire planet. China, 9,000 years ago. Scrape the inside of ancient pottery and you find it again. a fermented drink of rice, honey, and fruit.
Different continent, different people, no contact whatsoever, same idea. And that's the pattern that should stop you cold. Everywhere humans show up, everywhere, they independently figure out how to ferment something and drink it. The Americas, Africa, Asia, Europe, no shared memo, no common teacher. When every human society on Earth invents the same thing on its own, that thing isn't a luxury. It's answering something deep in us. The question is, what?
Okay, let's say it's true. Let's say humans wanted this badly enough to change everything for it. Why? The easy answer is people like being drunk. Fun. Done. But that's lazy, and it doesn't explain why you'd wreck your body, chain yourself to a field, and crowd into a disease-ridden village for it. There has to be more. And there is. To understand it, you have to understand what alcohol actually does to a human brain. It switches off the part of you that holds back, that cautious, guarded, calculating voice in your head, the one that keeps you suspicious of strangers, careful with your words, protective of yourself. Alcohol quiets it. Now ask yourself, why would that ever be useful? Here's why, and it's the whole secret. For almost all of human history, you lived in a tiny band, a few dozen people. Everyone you knew, you'd known your whole life. You trusted them because you had to. Civilization demands something completely unnatural. It demands that you live shoulder to shoulder with strangers, hundreds of them, people you don't know, don't trust, and have every instinct to be wary of. Humans are bad at that, deeply, instinctively bad at it. So how do you take a species built for small, suspicious bands and get it to cooperate in cities? You need something that lowers the guard, loosens the tongue, builds trust fast, turns a circle of wary strangers into a group that laughs together, bonds, and comes back tomorrow. You need a social glue. And a shared drink around a fire might have been the first one we ever found. Sit with how big that idea is. Alcohol may not have been a reward for building civilization. It may have been a tool we used to build it. The thing that let strangers trust each other. The thing that turned gatherings into communities. The thing that greased the impossible transition from tiny bands to crowded towns. Every feast bonded people who had no reason to cooperate. Every shared cup made the next bit of teamwork a little easier. The drink didn't just follow the crowd. It may have helped create the crowd in the first place. And here's a bonus twist. It was practical, too. Pile humans into a village, and you get a new problem fast. Filthy water. Crowded settlements poison their own wells with waste, and the water starts to kill people. But a fermented drink, the alcohol holds the worst of that at bay. For huge stretches of history, the brewed drink was safer than the water. So it bonded you to your neighbors, and it didn't make you sick. No wonder it was everywhere. No wonder we may have been willing to change everything for it. Now step all the way back. Look at the whole shape of it. A wandering species scattered in tiny groups across the earth. Then something happens. We start gathering, building, brewing, staying. And somewhere in that fog, that exact mysterious moment when humanity stopped roaming and started building the world we now live in, there's a cup in the picture. Maybe bread led the way. Plenty of scientists still think so, and they may be right. But maybe, just maybe, it was the other thing made from that grain. The thing that brought people together, calmed the fear of strangers, and made the impossible cooperation of civilization feel, for one warm evening around a fire, completely natural. We didn't necessarily add alcohol to human society. Human society may have grown up around it. So think about that the next time you watch people raise a glass, a toast at a wedding, a drink to seal a deal, a round bought for strangers who become friends by the end of the night. We treat it as nothing, a casual thing, background noise to the real moments of life. But look closer, and you might be watching one of the oldest human technologies still running, older than the wheel, older than writing, maybe older than bread itself. A way to take wary strangers and make them a people. For thousands of years, the cup wasn't an afterthought to civilization.
It may have been a part of how we built it. We didn't stumble into the modern world sober and serious. We may have arrived toasting.